Hi everyone. I just want to give a shout out to Les at LVR Shed. This is actually his page for Lignum Vitae cricket bat knocking in mallets. So as you probably know, I use a Lignum Vitae mallet, but I also used to use other different mallets. This is your regular sort of mallet here with a nice handle, cheap one. And I also had a Gray Nichols one that I used to use just for doing toe and edges. Put a bit of extra weight on it because it just wasn't heavy enough. I also use obviously a ball mallet for just testing things, but what Les actually creates is something that's unique in the world. He's the only person in the world who makes cricket bat mallets from Lignum Vitae. You've obviously seen before my other mallet, but I've also ordered off of him recently this new thing, which is a roller for doing edges made of Lignum Vitae. He's even put the moment I'm just hand rolling it using a vise, so that's quite good. And he's also made me a different version of the Shiler mallet. This one's made from cherry wood. So I actually asked for this specific mallet to be made with a much more rounder head, just for doing toes and for doing edges for glancing, to replace this one I've been using for a long time. I just found this one the wood was too soft. These are made from teak and this one's made from cherry wood, which is a little bit harder. Not as hard as Lignum Vitae, but this one's got an oak handle on it. And he turns these himself on a lathe, and he also makes obviously my original. You can see that's before he got the laser engraver. That's my original Lignum Vitae mallet. So I've got some wear and tear. I bought that a couple of years ago. They're £80 plus delivery. So they're not cheap, but this thing just does a wonderful job because it's just the hardness of the Lignum Vitae, and he's just such a splendid craftsman. See these grooves? These are actually made to reduce the weight so it's more manageable. And by weight, this thing weighs 800 grams with an oak handle. I've put a grip over it since I first got it so I can hold it up top when I'm doing delicate stuff, or hold it at the back, and you just let the weight of the mallet just do what it has to do. This is the one I do the tap-ups with. But more recently, since the cherry wood one has arrived, this is the one I'm doing the toes with and the edges, and I'm really happy with it. And I really like the detail that he's put into all the new ones, as you can see there. It's really classy. And that's the mallets and gear that I use on all the review bats. So I only will knock a bat in if it's for review, and for review it basically has to be something that I haven't done before. Something that's of interest to the page is basically what qualifies. So that's the sort of things that I'll knock in bats for. And I think I've shown you this before, but with Lignum Vitae, this is actually the stuff that they used to use for ball bearings for locomotives, and they also used to use it for knocking in metal, for metal work, because it's so hard. But I can actually use it on my old mallet, as you can see there. And you see that putting dents in the top of that mallet? That's how hard Lignum Vitae is. Obviously I can smooth that out as well. But yeah, that's how hard Lignum Vitae is, and I wasn't really hitting it that. It's nothing to do with the weight of it. But yeah, I prefer knocking in bats with this because it takes less time and it does a much better job. I can tell immediately what areas need to be knocked and what areas are good enough. So yeah, if you're serious about collecting bats and you knock in a fair few, definitely I'd recommend going to Les. So this is his page here. See if I can get this right. So you're looking for Lignum Vitae cricket bat knocking in mallets, and he's got his number there. And then if you click on store, he's got a little page here with the different mallets. Doesn't have the Shiler on here, but it's got mine. Mine is the Hercules, and I've got that handle, so I had a slightly different variation of it. And obviously, because he makes each one individually by hand, they're all different. I've had a long video conference with him, designed it all out for me. He's a really nice bloke, and basically, yeah, he looks after people because word of mouth is the most important thing in business. You know, your reputation is your value. Those are the mallets. This is something he made uniquely for me, which I'm really pleased with. The thing you got to know is that now when he does them is he varnishes the Lignum Vitae, where my original one you've got to keep oiling. You've got to keep some oil on it. So when I oil a bat, I just wipe whatever residues on my hand onto the mallet every now and then because they can dry out and then they start to crack. Really happy with the stuff that Les does, and wanted to put a video together just to give him a plug and say best bat makers in the world are going to him. You can't really go far wrong. So thanks very much, Les, and if you're serious about knocking in bats and you've got a fair few to do yourself a favour, get yourself one of these. If you've got one bat to do, just stop by a general shop one. It'll take you a little bit longer, take your time, and you'll be fine.